Hey Pisces, I need to share something with you today, and honestly, this reading came through with such clarity that I had to sit with it for a moment before even starting. So I pulled cards about this person who's been on your mind, and what came through is intense, but also incredibly revealing about where you stand right now versus where they are. Let me get right into what the cards are showing because this energy is really specific, and I think you're going to recognize exactly who this is about. So the first card I pulled is the Nine of Pentacles, and I want you to really understand what this card represents for you right now. This is your energy, Pisces. This is you standing in your own garden, literally and figuratively, looking at everything you've built for yourself. The Nine of Pentacles is about self-sufficiency, about reaching a point where you don't need anyone else to validate your worth or your success. And what's really beautiful about this card in your reading is that it's showing me you've done the work. You've actually done the internal and external work to get yourself to a place of genuine independence. I'm seeing that you've been focusing on yourself, maybe investing in your own growth, your own goals, your own peace of mind. This could be financial stability you've created, or it could be emotional stability, or both. The Nine of Pentacles often shows up when someone has learned to enjoy their own company, when they've cultivated a life that feels abundant even when they're alone. And that's where you are right now. You're not sitting around waiting for anyone to complete you or save you or make your life better. You've been making your life better yourself. What's really significant about this card appearing first is that it's establishing the foundation of this entire reading. Everything else that comes through needs to be understood in the context of your current state of abundance and self-sufficiency. You're not reading this from a place of lack or desperation. You're reading this from a position of strength. And that changes everything about how this situation is going to unfold. The Nine of Pentacles is also telling me that you've reached a level of discernment that you didn't have before. You can see through situations more clearly now. You're not easily fooled or manipulated because you've learned to trust yourself and your own judgment. This is the energy of someone who has been through something difficult and came out the other side not just surviving, but thriving. And I think that's exactly what's triggering this person's response that we're going to get into with the other cards. There's also this element of luxury and self-care with the Nine of Pentacles. You've been treating yourself well, investing in yourself, maybe even spoiling yourself a little bit because you recognize your own value. And other people are noticing this shift in you. They're noticing that you carry yourself differently, that you're not available for the same kinds of situations or dynamics that you used to tolerate. This is the glow-up energy, and it's authentic, not performative. Now here's what I find really interesting about the Nine of Pentacles in this position. This card often appears when someone has finally learned to be happy on their own, and that's usually when the universe tests that happiness by having someone from the past resurface. It's almost like the universe is asking, are you really good now, or were you just good because no one was challenging your peace? And based on what the other cards are showing, that's exactly what's happening here. Someone is about to challenge the peace you've built, but the difference is that this time you're coming from a place of genuine stability. The second card that came through is the Three of Cups, and this is where things start to get really specific. The Three of Cups is traditionally about celebration, friendship, community, and joy. But in the context of this reading, especially with the energy of your topic, this card is showing me that he heard something. He heard about you being happy. He heard about you celebrating life. He heard about you being out there, enjoying yourself, being social, maybe even being seen with other people. The Three of Cups is telling me that whatever information reached him, it was about you being in a good place socially and emotionally. Maybe he heard that you were at some event looking amazing. Maybe he heard that you were laughing and having fun with friends. Maybe he saw pictures or heard stories about you being genuinely happy and unbothered. And here's the thing about the Three of Cups in this position. It's not just that you were okay, it's that you were thriving in a social sense. You were surrounded by good energy, good people, genuine connections. What really stands out to me about this card is that the Three of Cups represents the kind of happiness that's visible to others. It's not quiet contentment. It's the kind of joy that radiates outward. It's the kind of energy that makes people want to be around you. And when someone who thought they had power over your emotional state sees you embodying this kind of energy, it completely disrupts their narrative about you. I'm getting that he might have heard about you through mutual friends or through social media or just through the grapevine. The Three of Cups often indicates that information travels through social networks, through community connections. So whatever he found out, it didn't come from you directly. You weren't trying to send him a message or make him jealous. You were just living your life, and the evidence of your happiness reached him through other channels. There's also this element with the Three of Cups that suggests you might have been celebrating something specific. Maybe a personal achievement, maybe a milestone, maybe just celebrating life in general. But there was something about seeing or hearing about you in celebration mode that really got to him, because the Three of Cups represents the kind of joy that comes from genuine connection and genuine reasons to celebrate, not fake happiness or putting on a show. This was real, and he could tell it was real, and that's what made it so impactful. What I'm also picking up from the Three of Cups is that you're not alone in your journey. You have people around you who genuinely care about you, who want to see you win, who celebrate your victories with you. And for someone who maybe thought you'd be lost without them or struggling without them, seeing you surrounded by supportive people and genuine connections is a real shock to their system. The Three of Cups is showing me that your support system is strong right now, and that's part of what's making you so resilient and so genuinely happy. The third card I pulled is the Queen of Pentacles, and this is adding another layer to your current energy that's really important. The Queen of Pentacles is someone who has mastered the material realm, someone who is practical, nurturing, successful, and grounded. This card is telling me that you're not just emotionally doing better, you're actually building something tangible in your life. This could be career success, financial stability, a beautiful living space, or just a really well-organized and functional life. The Queen of Pentacles represents someone who has their life together in a very visible and undeniable way. This isn't about pretending or putting on appearances. This is about actual results, actual achievements, actual stability. And I think this is a huge part of what's triggering this person's rage and envy that you mentioned in your topic. Because the Queen of Pentacles doesn't just survive, she thrives. She doesn't just get by, she creates abundance. And seeing you embody this energy when he probably expected you to be struggling without him is a major blow to his ego. What I love about the Queen of Pentacles in your reading is that she represents someone who takes care of themselves and others from a place of genuine abundance, not from obligation or desperation. You're not struggling to prove anything to anyone. You're not overextending yourself to maintain an image. You're genuinely in a place where you have enough, you are enough, and you're able to share that abundance with others from a healthy place. The Queen of Pentacles is also incredibly wise and discerning. She doesn't make impulsive decisions, especially when it comes to who she allows into her life and her space. She values peace, stability, and genuine connection over drama and chaos. And I think that's another thing that's probably driving this person crazy. You're not reactive anymore. You're not easy to provoke or manipulate. You're operating from a place of calm certainty about who you are and what you deserve. There's also this element of self-worth with the Queen of Pentacles that's really beautiful. She knows her value and she doesn't accept less than she deserves. She's not desperate for anyone's attention or validation because she's secure in herself. And when someone who maybe took your kindness for weakness or your patience for desperation sees you embodying this Queen of Pentacles energy, it completely shifts the power dynamic. You're no longer the person they remember. You're someone who has evolved beyond their reach. Now we get to the fourth card, and this is the Empress, which is absolutely fascinating in this context. The Empress is about creativity, abundance, fertility, nurturing energy, and fullness of life. This card is showing me that you're in a phase of creating and manifesting beautiful things in your life. You're not just maintaining or surviving, you're actually bringing new things into existence. This could be creative projects, new opportunities, new relationships, or just a general sense of your life expanding and blossoming. The Empress energy is magnetic and attractive. When someone embodies the Empress, people are naturally drawn to them. There's a radiance and a fullness to their energy that's really compelling. And I think this is another piece of what he's seeing or hearing about you that's filling him with rage and envy. You're not withering away without him. you're actually flourishing. You're in your creative power, your attractive power, your abundant power. What's really significant about the Empress in this reading is that she represents someone who is in their feminine power in a really healthy way. This isn't about performing femininity or trying to attract anyone specific. This is about being comfortable in your own skin, connected to your own creative power, and allowing yourself to receive the abundance that life wants to give you. And that kind of authentic feminine power is incredibly threatening to someone who's used to having control or power over you. The Empress is also about self-love and self-care at a deep level. It's not just face masks and bubble baths, although those are nice. It's about truly honoring yourself, truly believing you deserve good things, truly allowing yourself to bloom. And I'm getting that you've been doing this work, probably without even realizing how visible it is to others. But people can see when someone has truly stepped into their Empress energy. It shows in how they carry themselves, how they speak, how they show up in the world. There's also this element of the Empress that suggests you might be attracting new romantic attention, or at least the possibility of it. The Empress is a deeply attractive energy, and people notice when someone is in this phase. So part of what might be fueling this person's rage and envy is the awareness that you're not only fine without them, but you're actually more attractive and more magnetic than you were before. You're not closed off or bitter. You're open and radiant, which means you're available for better things to come into your life. The fifth card is the Ten of Wands, and this is where we start to get into his energy and his situation. The Ten of Wands is about burden, overwhelm, responsibility, and feeling weighed down by obligations. This card is telling me that while you're over here embodying the Nine of Pentacles, the Queen of Pentacles, and the Empress, he is struggling under the weight of his own choices and his own life circumstances. The Ten of Wands often shows up when someone has taken on too much or when the consequences of their actions are starting to catch up with them. This person is dealing with stress, pressure, maybe obligations they can't easily escape from. And here's what makes this so significant in your reading. While you've been lightening your load, simplifying your life, focusing on what truly matters, he's been accumulating more and more burdens. I'm getting that part of his rage and envy comes from the contrast between his situation and yours. He's exhausted, overwhelmed, possibly trapped in circumstances that he either created or agreed to, and then he sees or hears about you thriving and free and happy. That comparison is really difficult for him to sit with, especially if he thought you'd be the one struggling while he was off living his best life. The Ten of Wands can also indicate that he's carrying guilt, regret, or the weight of his own mistakes. Maybe he's realizing that the grass isn't greener on the other side. Maybe he's recognizing that what he walked away from or what he took for granted was actually really valuable, and now he's stuck carrying the consequences of his choices while watching you flourish without him. What's really telling about the Ten of Wands in this position is that it shows someone who is too proud or too stubborn to put down the burdens they're carrying. He's struggling, but he's not willing to admit it or ask for help or make the changes that would actually lighten his load. So he just keeps carrying everything, getting more and more exhausted and resentful, especially when he sees other people, specifically you, who seem to have figured out how to live a lighter, happier life. The sixth card is the Five of Cups, and now we're really getting into the emotional depth of what he's experiencing. The Five of Cups is about loss, regret, disappointment, and focusing on what went wrong rather than what's still possible. This card is showing me that he's in a state of genuine grief and regret about how things ended between you or about choices he made regarding your connection. The Five of Cups depicts someone looking at spilled cups, at what's been lost, while not noticing the cups that are still standing behind them. This is exactly the energy I'm picking up from him. He's so focused on what he lost when he lost you, or when the relationship changed, that he can't even appreciate whatever he has in his current situation. He's stuck in a loop of regret and what-ifs. What's particularly powerful about the Five of Cups in this reading is that it shows someone who is emotionally devastated, but trying to hide it or deny it. On the surface, he might be showing up like nothing happened, like everything is fine, but internally, he's dealing with this deep sense of loss and regret. And seeing you doing so well, looking so good, being so happy, it's like salt in that wound. It's forcing him to confront what he lost, what he gave up, what he destroyed. The Five of Cups also indicates that he's comparing his current situation to what he had with you, and his current situation is coming up short. Maybe he thought he wanted something different, someone different, a different kind of life. But now that he's living it, he's realizing that what he had with you was actually really special, really valuable, really irreplaceable. And that realization is painful, especially because he knows he's the one who ruined it. I'm also getting from the Five of Cups that he might be trying to reach out or reconnect, not because he's genuinely changed or done the work, but because he's uncomfortable with his own feelings of loss and regret. He wants relief from those feelings, and he thinks maybe getting back in touch with you will provide that relief. But the Five of Cups shows someone who hasn't actually processed their emotions or learned their lessons yet. They're just reacting to discomfort. The seventh card I pulled is the Chariot. And this is really interesting because the Chariot is about determination, willpower, control, and moving forward with purpose. In the context of this reading, the Chariot is showing me that he's going to try to show up with confidence and determination. He's going to try to present himself as someone who has their life together, someone who's in control, someone who knows what they want. But here's what's fascinating about the Chariot appearing in this reading alongside the Ten of Wands and the Five of Cups. The image he's trying to project with the Chariot energy doesn't match the reality of what he's actually experiencing. The Chariot is about successfully harnessing opposing forces and moving forward with confidence. But we know from the other cards that internally he's struggling with burdens and regrets. So the Chariot in this position is showing me that he's putting on a performance. When he shows up like nothing happened, as your topic mentioned, he's going to be channeling this Chariot energy. He's going to try to seem confident, unbothered, maybe even successful or impressive. He's going to try to take control of the narrative and the interaction. But the Chariot also reveals that this requires a lot of effort and willpower on his part. It's not natural or authentic. He's having to actively manage his image and his presentation because the truth underneath is messier. The Chariot can also indicate someone who's driven by ego and the need to win or be seen as winning. So part of his motivation for showing up might be to prove something to himself or to others. He doesn't want to be seen as the person who lost you or who messed up. He wants to be seen as the person who's still desirable, still in control, still able to command your attention. The Chariot is competitive energy, and I'm getting that he's treating this situation like a competition he needs to win. What's also significant about the Chariot is that it's a card of movement and momentum. He's not going to stay away or stay quiet. He's going to actively pursue contact or interaction. The Chariot is action-oriented, sometimes aggressively so. So whatever his approach is, it's going to be direct and purposeful. He's decided on a course of action and he's going to follow through on it, regardless of whether it's actually welcomed or appropriate. The eighth card is Judgment, and this is absolutely crucial to understanding the deeper spiritual and karmic dynamics of this situation. Judgment is about awakening, realization, karma, consequences, and seeing the truth clearly. This card is telling me that on some level, he's having a moment of reckoning. He's being forced to see the truth about himself, his choices, and the consequences of his actions. Judgment often appears when someone can no longer avoid or deny reality. It's like a wake-up call that can't be ignored. And in his case, that wake-up call is seeing you thriving without him. It's realizing that you didn't need him to be happy or successful or whole. It's understanding that he wasn't as important to your story as he thought he was. And that's a hard pill to swallow. The Judgment card is also about divine timing and karmic lessons. What he's experiencing right now, this rage and envy and regret, this is part of his karmic journey. He needs to feel this in order to learn whatever lesson he's supposed to learn. And you being in such a good place, looking so good, doing so well, that's not random. That's part of the universal design. Your glow up is not just for you, it's also serving as a mirror for him to see his own mistakes and shortcomings. What I find really powerful about Judgment in this reading is that it indicates a point of no return. Once someone has this kind of awakening or realization, they can't go back to their old way of seeing things. He can't unsee what he's now seeing about you, about himself, about the situation. And that's going to be uncomfortable for him to live with, especially if he can't or won't make the changes that this realization is calling for. Judgment is also about accountability and facing the truth. He's being called to account for his actions, his choices, his treatment of you. And whether he's ready to do that internal work or not, the universe is presenting him with the evidence of who he was and who you've become in spite of, or maybe because of how things ended. The truth is unavoidable now, and that's what the Judgment card is all about. The 9th card is the Ace of Swords, and this is bringing incredible clarity to the entire reading. The Ace of Swords is about truth, clarity, mental breakthrough, and cutting through illusions. This card is telling me that you are seeing this situation with absolute clarity now. You're not confused about his motivations, you're not questioning your own perceptions, you're not susceptible to his manipulations or performances. The Ace of Swords gives you the gift of discernment and clear thinking. You can see right through whatever image he's trying to project with his Chariot energy. You can recognize the 5 of Cups regret underneath his confident exterior. You can see the 10 of Wands burden he's carrying, even if he's trying to hide it. Your vision is sharp and accurate, and that gives you tremendous power in this situation. What's really beautiful about the Ace of Swords in your reading is that it represents a new level of mental and emotional maturity for you. You're not operating from old patterns or old wounds. You're operating from a place of clear understanding about who you are, what you deserve, and what you're willing to accept in your life. The Ace of Swords is like a sword of truth that cuts through any confusion or manipulation. The Ace of Swords also indicates that you're ready to communicate clearly and directly if needed. You're not afraid of confrontation or uncomfortable conversations. You're not going to be gaslit or confused or manipulated into doubting your own reality. If he shows up acting like nothing happened, you have the mental clarity and strength to address that directly and honestly. There's also this element of new beginnings with the Ace of Swords, but it's a mental new beginning. It's a new way of thinking about yourself, about relationships, about what you will and won't tolerate. And this new mental framework is going to serve you incredibly well in any interaction with this person or anyone else who tries to play games with your peace. The 10th and final card is the Devil, and honestly, Pisces, this card appearing at the end of your reading is so perfect and so revealing. The Devil represents toxicity, manipulation, unhealthy attachments, ego, and the shadow side of human nature. And in the context of your topic, where you literally called him a devil, this card is confirming what you already knew in your gut. The Devil is showing me that his motivations for showing up are not pure or healthy. He's not coming from a place of genuine growth or authentic care for you. He's operating from his ego, his envy, his need to feel in control, his inability to handle seeing you do better without him. The Devil energy is about being trapped in unhealthy patterns and trying to trap others in those patterns too. What's really significant about the Devil appearing as your final card is that it's a warning and a confirmation at the same time. Yes, he's going to show up. Yes, he's dealing with rage and envy. Yes, he heard about you doing better. And yes, his approach is going to be manipulative and rooted in his own ego and shadow, rather than in anything healthy or constructive. The Devil also represents temptation and the pull of old patterns. There might be a part of you that's tempted to engage, to explain yourself, to try to make him understand, or even to fall back into old dynamics because they're familiar. But the Devil is asking you to recognize those impulses as traps. Those patterns didn't serve you before, and they won't serve you now. What I love about having the Devil as the final card is that it makes everything crystal clear. You're not dealing with someone who's had a genuine transformation or awakening that led them to want to make amends in a healthy way. You're dealing with someone who's uncomfortable with their own feelings and wants to manipulate the situation to feel better about themselves. The Devil doesn't come to heal. He comes to control. The Devil is also about illusions and false promises. If he shows up with the Chariot confidence, promising things or saying things that sound good, the Devil is reminding you to look beneath the surface. What are his actual actions? What is his actual energy? Is he really offering anything of value, or is he just performing to get a reaction or regain some sense of control? So here's what I'm seeing in the overall energy of this reading. Pisces, you are genuinely thriving. The 9 of Pentacles, Queen of Pentacles, and Empress energy you're carrying right now is authentic and powerful. You've done the work on yourself, and it shows. The Three of Cups tells me that your happiness is visible and shared with others in your community. People can see that you're doing better, and that information has reached this person. Meanwhile, he's struggling with the Ten of Wands burden of his own choices and the Five of Cups regret about losing you. His rage and envy come from the contrast between his situation and yours, and from the judgment realization that he messed up something valuable. He's going to try to show up with Chariot confidence and control, but underneath that performance is a lot of pain and discomfort that he hasn't processed in a healthy way. Your gift in this situation is the Ace of Swords clarity. You can see right through whatever he's presenting. You're not confused or susceptible to manipulation. And the Devil card is confirming what you already sensed, that his motivations are not pure and his approach is rooted in ego and toxicity rather than genuine care or growth. So what do you do with all this information? First, trust your clarity. Trust what you know about this person and this dynamic. Don't let a confident performance make you doubt what you know to be true. Second, protect your peace. You've built something beautiful in your life, and you don't owe anyone access to that just because they've decided they want it. Third, remember that his rage and envy are about him, not about you. You didn't do anything wrong by healing and thriving. That's exactly what you were supposed to do. And finally, recognize that you have all the power here. He might show up like nothing happened, but you get to decide how you respond or if you respond at all. You get to decide what access he has to your energy and your space. You get to decide what you're willing to entertain and what you're not. The devil might show up at your door, but you don't have to let him in. This reading is really about the power of your own transformation and how that transformation is affecting someone who thought they knew you or had some kind of hold over you, but you're not the same person anymore, and that's threatening to his ego and his narrative. Stay in your Nine of Pentacles garden, your Queen of Pentacles stability, your Empress radiance. Let him deal with his own Ten of Wands and Five of Cups. That's his journey, not yours. You're doing everything right, Pisces. Keep doing it.